Welcome to another unboxing, and I'm going to give you some clues right away before we even launch into this premiere. The machine that we're going to be unboxing, actually, if you go way back to the roots of this company, the St. John Sewing Machine Company is tied to it, which was the predecessor of this particular company and was founded right around 1870. So I think those are some real good foundations to start with. I'll tell you that the specific company that made this machine first appeared in 1926. So hopefully that gives you some good foundational clues on this Veterans Day. And yes, the music that I've selected will all be patriotic related music. And you'll notice also that I've hung up my DeWalt jacket and put on a different outside garment. It seems to be appropriate for this particular day where we remember all those who have served in all the branches of service, whether it was Army like myself, Marines, Navy, Air Force, National Guard, Coast Guard, or any of the other sub-branches that I might not be mentioning. All right, let's get going. You know what? One more thing that I should mention. This particular box came out of New York, and the customer that sent it, I want to make sure that I get this right. Bear with me for a second here. So many things going on at the same time. It's always interesting, isn't it? Let's hear that tune one more time, which is Hard Times Come Again No More. Hard Times Come Again No More, as I'm looking this information up just so I make sure that I get it right. And I don't know if you're doing anything special to recognize Veterans Day, but I know if you're a veteran, there are lots and lots and lots of opportunities out there to be recognized, and you know, just to have a chance of stepping out there and having people possibly thank you for your service, which I think veterans always appreciate that acknowledgement. So this machine was sent to me out of New York from Karl VonBerg. Karl VonBerg is the one that actually sent it. I had to check because I had a couple of communications out of New York and I didn't want to get it wrong. So we're going to be opening up this box from Karl today. And again, I've already given you, I think, some real solid clues. Hopefully they help. Well, I hope everything's okay in this box. It doesn't look like Karl really did a whole lot of padding around this case at all. So, and coming all the way from New York to here, probably around 900 miles. And the box doesn't look like it's super heavy gauge either as far as the corrugation. So, we'll keep our fingers crossed. Again, I always tell customers to watch the packing videos on the YouTube channel so that they can at least take out the nuggets. If they don't follow it, you know, exactly step by step, at least they grab the nuggets as far as safeguarding their machine when it's being transported to the workshop, whether it's from New York or whether it's from California or from around the world. Every step we take to safeguard the machine is just going to ensure a greater likelihood that it's going to arrive here to the workshop without any damage. So that one was called, again, Hard Times Come Again No More. And now I'm going to play on this Veterans Day, When All of This Is Over. And these are all, again, listed as patriotic songs. I'm already excited about the next one that I'm going to play, which I'm just playing them in the order that they appear here in the search. The Star Spangled Banner. What a perfect song for this Veterans Day. So we got, it's interesting the way Karl has packed this, really. On the back side of the box, I've got some paper as padding. As you can see, Karl stuck it in there. But there's nothing on the front at all. Assuming that this is the front of the case, there's no padding whatsoever. And the outer skin of the case is actually separating, as you can see. So I'm going to have to see about trying to do a little bit of restoration on the case. Again, I'm not specifically being requested by the customer to do that, but it seems obvious that it should be done. All right, let's get this case out of here, and we'll see how this machine has fared. And we got some signs in here that are a little bit alarming. Not the fragments of the outside of the case like this, but on this side of the case, if we kind of look into it a little bit, I'm trying to see if you can see it. Like I said, it's always harder on camera to see what we eventually can see in high definition very clearly. All right, let me zoom in onto it. I think I can show it then. So kind of what I'm showing you here is that this bounced around enough because it wasn't padded properly, that right here it actually punched a hole. Where am I? It punched a hole all the way through the case. If we flip it around, we should be able to see that punch through from this side. See that? Punch through, punch through. Then again, if you turn it on the inside where the machine was packed, I'm not sure if I have the right angle, but I can actually see daylight. You can see daylight from the outside. I'll hold it real still and you can kind of see my finger come. See that? So it did punch all the way through this light corrugated box. Again, the way I measure a box's corrugation is how much it's going to flex, how much it's going to bend and kind of pitch when that machine is moving around. And again, the machine should be immobilized inside of here, so the way that Karl ended up packing this, it obviously was not immobilized, so it causes me a little bit of uneasiness. But also you can tell corrugation strength by simple pull tests. I mean, if I take the edge of the box like this and I pull on it, it should take quite a bit of effort to split the seam on that box, but I'll tell you from what I'm feeling, not much. It's it's also dusty, but excuse me, but you can see the corrugation right here, very thin, very, very thin. So obviously when I ship this back to Karl, it's going to be packed very differently. But I would just strongly encourage folks, if you're going to ship something to the workshop, particularly the outer box as it is, should be a sufficient shell that it's going to provide adequate protection to that, that case in this instance, or that machine that's inside, and also around the case itself. as we kind of focus on the case now, I'm going to throw this box to the side. As we focus on this case, that's quite a thing. I got to come off the tripod and show you this. It's kind of like it's shedding its skin almost. But that usually is a sign that it was stored probably in a damp basement or in a garage or in a shed, maybe a barn. And this outside layer has just completely separated from the case. And this is just a real thin, almost like a laminate. But you can see if you look way down there, it's basically separated all the way to the bottom. And that's not, that's cosmetic, but at the same time it's part of the integrity of the case, and I'm certainly going to look at trying to address that while it's in the workshop. So as I lift up on this, I'm going to come out in this shot a little bit. As I lift up on this, I want you to listen real carefully, not to the handle, although that was cool too. Listen to this. What you're hearing is the flexing of the hinge by the clasp that is holding the base to the top. And so the only thing holding this together right now is that little hinge basically, and that little clasp on the side, just like on this side as well. Oops, I'm knocking things over here. So again, my recommendation, if you're going to be shipping a machine to the workshop that's in a case like this, that has basically a closing hinge or a clasp on the sides that hold that top to the base, is that you want to have a backup plan. Over time, these get rusty, as you can see that this has. They get rusty. The pins that go in to hold the top part of the clasp, because this is basically two sections. You have a lower section here. It's being held by two pins that are kind of rusty, and then an upper part that also is pinned into the case as well. And again, these cases are only so thick and so strong, so you're relying on this, basically this clasp and this hinge to hold those two pieces together to keep that machine where it's supposed to be inside of the case. So you always want to have a backup plan. You always want to take stretch wrap and go all the way around the case on both sides, on this side all the way around, on this side all the way around, and then reinforce that with strapping tape, so that if somehow these hinges give way, which they can, especially as they start to get rusty like that, that case is still going to stay together as it's supposed to keep that machine inside and safe. It's almost like a seat belt. Seat belt is designed to keep you from getting ejected from the vehicle, keep you inside of the vehicle. These hinges are designed to keep the top part and the bottom part together so that that machine has some level of protection. And that strapping tape and that stretch wrap is going to reinforce that, and also take a little bit of stress as well off of those hinges, kind of like I showed in that recent premiere when I shipped the Husqvarna Viking down to my friend in Cypress, Texas, Annette. Remember, I used that strapping tape and stretch wrap to really lock that case down, but also press the case in to take pressure off of the hinges, because the hinges are only so strong, especially when the case is getting, banged around and bounced and dropped and everything in its journey to the workshop. Okay, so I'm going to point the camera this way for just a second so I can figure out which way is front on this case, because there's no stamping on the outside to say, hey, this is the front. And it looks like I guessed pretty well. So all right, so I'm going to lock these again. I'm going to put on this really cool piece next, which is the Star Spangled Banner. And we will continue to enjoy a series of melodies that have a patriotic flavor to them on this Veterans Day. All right, I'm going to go back up on the tripod. Actually, I'm not, because I'm just going to take this cover off and we will get our first glimpse of this machine, which does not have any padding at all. I did take a sneak peek. Doesn't have any padding at all on the inside of here, which again, I would not recommend you ship a machine like that. So here goes the cover as we're listening to the Star Spangled Banner. And this, I can actually smell the dampness in this. This was stored in a real wet area. You can see the base is just disintegrating. Here you can look down into it and you can see the water damage, the nail that's kind of separated, and part of the wood is actually missing from here as well. So, Star Spangled Banner yet wave, the land of the free and the home. That's too high for me. I love it though. That's the beauty of the Star Spangled Banners. They can put it in so many different keys to make it more manageable for folks. It's quite a bit of bed damage too. You can see where the finish is actually gone. And what you're seeing here, this white here and here as well, is you're actually seeing the casting of aluminum. And that's what this particular machine is made of. There was some debate, you can see back over here too. There was some debate whether they used aluminum or magnesium, but I'm pretty confident that this machine would have been made out of aluminum. And you could tell that I got my magnet right here as we try to put this on the side of the machine. And the same would be true of magnesium as well. Magnesium, aluminum are not going to have any magnetic properties when it comes to a magnet. Now if we go here, well, I'll just let go of it. That's obviously metal. It's giving us a positive response. This is going to be metal over here as well. Probably that as well. Yep, it's got metal. It's got a metal shank on the inside for the bobbin winding tire. The balance wheel is going to be aluminum as well, so we're not getting any magnetic response. Now, I'm guessing the clutch is going to be metal. Let's see. Yep. So we got a metal clutch. Spool pin is going to be metal as well. We got a positive response from that. What about our presser foot adjuster? Yep. Faceplate. Faceplate is responding to the magnet as well. What about down here where we access our bobbin and bobbin case? Yep. That's also going to be responding to the magnet. Obviously our needle bar and our presser foot bar are going to be metal as well. So this is rough, and I know from some of our conversations Karl shared a little bit about the machine. I didn't get a huge history on it, just that it was a machine that had been in the family. It's obviously, it takes me back to John Smith's Swedish Beauty a little bit, as far as having a little bit of a rough life. Yeah, you can just, you can't through the premiere and the video, you can't smell this, but okay, so I'm gonna point that down, because what the customer has on a number of places on this bag, on the foot controller, on the rear of the machine as well, I'm going to do my best to kind of cover that up with my hand. It has personal information on there, and that's something, again, trying to protect the privacy of my customers. I don't want that to be seen by everyone that views this premiere. So It's a free Westinghouse. And you may remember my friend from California that I prepared a beautiful free Westinghouse for. It's been quite some time ago, but I still have contact with that wonderful lady, and she still is delighting in that machine. And again, she never really called it a free Westinghouse machine. My friend from California called it her golden sewing machine, because hers is just a super bright gold, almost a gaudy gold, but it's really beautiful. It's a beautiful gaudy gold, if that's appropriately describing it. This one is a little bit more of a flat color, a little bit more of a flat finish on it. And obviously these free Westinghouse machines like this come with some beautiful chromed adornments, faceplate, the cover for the needle plate, and also the feed dogs down over here. And then it comes with a potted style motor. As you can see, kind of a rounded potted motor on the rear of the machine. And we'll kind of turn this around and take a closer look at that motor as well. And they also have some, I would say, fairly basic adornments beyond that. I mean, they've got this mark right here, where you can see, if I zoom in on it, it basically says Westinghouse Electric, electrified by Westinghouse. And a quick skinny on the history of what's the deal with Westinghouse, what's the deal with Free Westinghouse, etc., is these originally were two separate companies. Free sewing machines have been around for a very long time. And here you can see on this decorative piece, this decal that's on the pillar on the inside, you can see where they denote that a little bit more clearly. Here you've got the Free Sewing Machine Company, which was out of Rockford, Illinois, USA. And the Free Sewing Machine Company basically was looking for someone to supply them with motors. And so when Free reached out to different people, they were vetting different people. Eventually, they ended up choosing to partner with these folks over here. Where are they? The Free Sewing Machine Company decided to partner with Westinghouse Electric. And so that's how eventually these started being referred to, not as free sewing machines, not like free like, hey, there's no charge, but free like that's the name of the company. They started being referred to as Free Westinghouse Sewing Machine Companies. And there's a lot more specific history that I could share with you, and I probably will. But first of all, let's just turn this machine around. I'm not able to really lift it up. If I kind of show you right here, as I try to lift up on this machine again, because the base has basically been degraded. Watch what happens. It's just totally rotted. It's a combination of rot and I should probably have a mask on, because with this water damage there's probably mildew and other things. It's not evident looking at it, but it's this has had a real rough life. Obviously you can see that as we kind of look around. I'll just kind of move the machine out. There's the base that it was sitting on. These are all little supports that are supposed to be in the corners to give stability to the base and to give stability to the machine sitting on top of it as well. And you can see that those are totally dead. There we have what looks like it might be a little bit of mold in the corners. This base is pretty much junk. I hate to use that word, but it's going to be there's nothing to salvage here, because the wood is so degraded. It's so destroyed, even here on the back of the machine as well. So I'm just going to set this back. Here's what I'll do is I'll spin the entire machine around. I'm going to point the camera away again, because the customer's information is on the back here. We're just going to balance this here as best as we're able. And you can see that the let me pick another piece of music before we continue looking at this what is going to prove to be a very, very challenging project. So I've got When Johnny Comes Marching Home, I've got Fallen Soldier. I'm going to do Fallen Soldier next. Fallen Soldier. And on this Veterans Day, I want to draw a little distinction. You know, with a title like Fallen Soldier, this is probably going to be more of an appropriate song that you would play on Memorial Day. Memorial Day, again, is when we recognize those that gave the ultimate price and they died in the service of their country. Veterans are, you know, are ones that survived in most cases. Although those that have fallen also were obviously veterans too. But that's the distinction, is Memorial Day, a soldier, an airman, a Marine, a sailor would have died in the service to their country. Veterans Day, we remember all those that served and in all likelihood, you know, ended up serving without being killed in action, if that all makes sense. So, wow. Yeah, and that is, I'm going to wash my hands. That is a combination of mold and other things on there, that blackness. You can see on the back here, if we look at the motor, the outer side, you can read it as well as I can. Westinghouse Electric Corporation, 115 volts. It goes into, 80 cycles, I think that says. Is that 80 cycles? Yeah. 0.7 amps. So 0.7 amps, it's going to be comparable, a little bit more power than what the Singer 201-2s or the 1591s have as far as potted motors. This again is going to be a potted style motor. The distinction to be drawn here is, while it's a potted motor, it does not have the benefit of gear-to-gear drive positive traction like the Singer 201-2 and the Singer 1591 and a couple of other machines as well, obviously, that Singer made. Like all the Slantomatics all have that you know, worm gear to worm gear positive traction drive. Here we've got, in lieu of it, we've got a pulley system. It's called a friction pulley that's going to be creating friction as it turns against the balance wheel and causing that machine to be driven. But we're not going to get a whole lot of that right now because it feels like it's locked up pretty good. Timber! So, I'm finding myself wondering what we're going to keep and what we're not going to keep on this, because there's some that just, there's nothing to be done for it other than put it into a hazmat bag and to wish it a happy journey to the next life. And again, if you could smell, and all of you have been probably in barns and other damp places where things have been stored, and you know what that smell is? Yeah, you do. So that's what this is really permeating with right now. So again, I'm going to do my best to protect the customer's privacy by covering this label that has their information on it. You can see again, it's a fairly bare bones machine. You got Free Westinghouse on the back. There's not a lot of filigree. There's not a lot of decorative ornamental type decals on it. The bed is pretty much just plain and simple. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, look at the beauty of the 192K Singer, the Spartan. The Spartan is very sparse when it comes to ornamental decorative things, and yet it's a absolutely drop-dead gorgeous type machine. So yeah, I'll communicate with Karl and just kind of let him know my general impressions of where we might be able to go with this project, and we'll see what we're able to do for him in relation to giving this machine every opportunity that it deserves to be, you know, to shine its greatness again. I gotta just show you. Look at this back panel here. And yes, it's split down the middle too, if you can't see that. So yeah, this base is not trustworthy and reliable any longer, obviously. I'm going to tilt this back as best as I can. Just going to take a look at the bottom here. So we can see, looks like someone may have tried to do some wiring. Oops, let me come out on this. You can't see a thing. It looks like somebody may have tried to do some wiring on this, because these look like these are upgraded wire nuts. And again, whenever you do wiring with wire nuts, you always want to replace the old ones. Don't keep them, because they have a thin layer of copper on the inside, and that with electricity running through it, it can become degraded. So, and you can see a very unique shuttle system on this particular machine, shuttle and hook system. And I referred to this recently. It's called the Long Beak Shuttle. And I'm going to grab my crib notes real quick so I can try to remind myself, because we just drew a comparison from another machine, or we can draw a comparison from another machine. Yeah, here it is. I just wanted to check my notes. So we talked recently about Tony's final machine that he sent to the workshop that's going to be going back, or is actually in the process of going back right now, to him in Ohio. And I had gone through all the different Class 15 style machines. And while this is probably not a traditional Class 15 style machine, although it has that characteristic, because you can see the tension, upper tension control is on the faceplate rather than on the front of the machine. But on this machine, that's really more of a style choice. It's not as much of a, determination that it was designed and made to be a Class 15 machine. But, even giving the argument that it is, it's going to be set up with a similar shuttle hook system like the original Class 15, which was the 15-1 that I referred to in Tony's premiere video, that originated back around 1879 and was out there being made until about 1895. The Long Beak Shuttle was kind of the predecessor to the rotary and the oscillating hook system. And it functions very well when it's not, obviously all crudded up and rusted like Karl's is right now. But that's all part of the restorative process, is trying to make those things right again and give that machine another opportunity. And you can just barely make it out, but right over here on the underside, just to the right of that Long Beak Shuttle, we've got a serial number plate for this FREE-WESTINGHOUSE, which it is comprised of, it looks like 3 letters and 3 numbers, ALB 351. So yeah, I'll have to check with Karl again just to find out where this was stored. Obviously, it's had some challenges for sure. Had some challenges. But like a good soldier, since this is Veterans Day, like a good soldier, it can take a licking and take a beating and still be up to the task if it's given a little bit of help. Given a little bit of help to fight that next battle, or to do that next project. So I'm going to do my best for Karl with this machine that he sent me from the great state of New York. And again, it's always fun to have machines like this that I can present to you that have unique differences from most of the other machines that you'll see on this channel. And this Long Beak shuttle system is definitely in that realm. Yep. All right, a little bit more music and we will wrap this premiere up, because I don't have a lot else that I can show you. I mean, we can look at what is basically a traditional type Mercury foot control. Again, you can just tell from looking at it that it was very likely stored in a damp place. It's all rust. You can't see it in the Premiere, obviously, this live Premiere, but the cording has kind of a sponginess to it. So this cord will have to all be replaced as well. Again, some of these things have labels that have the customer's information. And this is where on the back of here, I'm not going to touch this because this is actually black mold. But if I go across there, you can see this is where the machine is intended to be plugged in. So we have a base that obviously is not realistically going to be able to be salvaged, and we're going to have to myself, Dr. Singer, going to have to remove the electrical from this, and then look at a potential base replacement. We'll obviously have to get new wood, cut a new opening, slide that electrical contact in there, and then redo all of this wiring down here, which obviously it's not safe as it is. And then all of this rust is going to have to be mitigated. If there's additional mold on here, that's going to have to be mitigated as well. My nose is actually tickling right now. My nose is tickling. It's probably psychological, but any of you that are in the medical field right now are saying, Scott, shut off the camera, put on gloves, put on a mask. So, yeah. But there you go. There is a challenging project ahead. Let me go back up on the tripod. I think you've seen this close and personal enough, and you maybe your nose is even starting to tickle a little bit as well. So, well, happy Veterans Day again. I'm going to put on probably one more piece as we wrap this up. And I'll put on one for my Marine friends. This is called Semper Fidelis, Always Faithful. And this is a piece that was originally written apparently back in 1890. And I'm believing it, hearing it, aren't you? Well, actually, interestingly, some of you know this, some of you don't. My dad and mom were both Marines, and I put together, it was on my dad's bucket list. He wanted all of his 35 millimeter slides that he had taken when he was in Vietnam, Korea, and Okinawa to be digitalized so that we could put together a complete production. And you can actually view that on my YouTube channel. Just type in something like Gunny Geller, G-U-N-N-Y, Geller, G-E-L-L-E-R, and you'll be able to watch the different little movies that I put together for my dad with his original slides. And on one of them, when it's in Okinawa and it was the Marine Corps birthday, I used this same piece in his production. So kind of cool to hear this again on Veterans Day. So this is my friend Karl's FREE-WESTINGHOUSE. Turn this up a little bit. Timber! I'll see if I can give you a couple more little historical tidbits about this particular company. The FREE-WESTINGHOUSE machine was first appeared. That doesn't make any sense. Let me try that again. I was getting excited by those snare drums. The FREE-WESTINGHOUSE machine first appeared in 1926 after the company became associated with Westinghouse as the sole supplier of electric motors to Free. The name was used into the 1950s. However, post-World War II, the company began having machines made in Japan. Westinghouse was apparently not too happy about this, as Free was no longer using their motors for their imported machines. In 1957, a lawsuit was filed by Westinghouse to stop Free from using the Westinghouse name. Unable to compete against cheap overseas labor, the company was bought out by the Japanese in 1954. All kinds of conflict and fights and even between Free and Westinghouse, huh? Well, there you go. Now you know the rest of the story on this machine that Karl out of the great state of New York sent here to the workshop to get lots of help. Lots and lots and lots of help. Happy Veterans Day, everybody. God bless.